everybody. I am so excited to welcome you to session 4 of Arranmore Arts Virtual Theater Camp Jam. So here's a fun fact. I was actually born here in Aurora, Illinois, and one of the most beautiful theaters in the country also happens to be in Aurora, Illinois, and I get to come back here a lot and do shows here. So I thought a really fun way to kick off today's session would be to give you a little bit of a tour of the Paramount Theater and show you some of the things that happen on the stage there. And I'll start by showing you their marquee, which is beautiful. Ta-da! There's our stage door. And this is where you would come in to go to work every day. So the cast and the crew don't go in through the front doors. They come in through this magical back door, stage door. And look at all this cool rigging that's used to move things on stage. Pretty awesome, right? And then just walk, walk, walk. Oh my gosh, here it is. This is what happens when you walk on stage and you stand center stage looking out at everything. Now that is inspiring. So here is another really cool area backstage at the theater. There's this little nook with all of this stuff. And one of the crew members will stand back here, usually it's your assistant stage manager, and help call the show. So they will work with the stage manager who's sitting way up in the back at the top of the house, and they will help run the show from here. Also, it kind of looks like a spaceship. So here's something else that is kind of cool. See the numbers on the stage, at the edge of the stage? The director and the choreographer put those down so that when they're rehearsing the play, they can set things to numbers so that when they get onto the stage, it's easy to make sure people know where they need to stand. So like, I might have to stand at number 20, and then the person next to me has to stand at 18 to make sure that their spacing is right, or 17. So that's just one little trick that they use on these bigger stages to help make sure everybody's where they need to be for their choreography and their blocking. Well, here we are. It is our 4th and final session of our Camp Jam. I hope that you've had a really wonderful time. I know I have. I thought today it would be really cool to finish things out in one of my favorite theaters in the whole world. You can see behind me just how incredible and beautiful it is. And when we talk about places that inspire us, or things that inspire us, or people that inspire us, I've found a lot of all of those things right here. And I thought it would be cool to stand on this stage and tell you that we will all be back on stages again soon. So don't worry about it. Theater will come back. We'll get to be in beautiful spaces like this again. But for now, we can do what we're doing right now. We can practice, and we can come up with new ways to be creative, and we can learn new things, and we can keep our bodies moving. So on that note, it is time for this week's warm-up, which is going to be a movement, kind of dance warm-up, and it's super easy, and you can practice it until you get it down, and it's going to be led by a really fun friend of mine named Kaylee. So, take it away, Miss Kaylee.
Hi guys, my name is Kaylee and I'm going to lead us through a quick stretch. It's really important to warm up your body before you start dancing or exercising, just so you don't hurt yourself and that your body knows that you're ready to, move around and have some fun. So clear out your tables or your chairs, or make some room in your house, wherever you need to. Follow along and have fun.
Well, thanks, Miss Kaylee. That was super fun. And that also is going to lead me to this week's first official assignment. Your official assignment this week is to check out dance. Now, when we talk about someone being a triple threat, do you know what that means? It means that they are really excellent at singing and acting and dancing. But you don't have to feel like you're going to go out there and be in the Nutcracker this year for Christmas time. You can just dance for fun. You can dance to get your body moving more. You can take dance classes to practice picking things up kind of quickly and taking directions. Any performer out there is going to get so much out of taking dance classes. So if you have any interest in it at all, I would check out some dance classes. And if you're already taking dance classes, I would encourage you to check out some different styles of dancing. So if you're a tap dancer, take a couple ballet lessons. And if you're a ballet dancer, take a Bollywood class or a hip hop class. It's just really great to expand your knowledge. And that is what this whole thing has been about, right? Trying new things and having fun activities to do and coming up with new ideas on how to be creative. Ooh, speaking of being super creative, I sat down to chat with another young artist, and I want to share that interview with you. Now, this guy is pretty impressive. He has started his own theater company, and he is 15 years old. It takes some people a lifetime to get to that. So I wanted to see what his thoughts were about how that all happened and what kind of skills went into doing that and things he's learned. So let's see what happened when I sat down with my buddy Peyton.
Hello, everybody. I'm here with a buddy of mine. Would you please introduce yourself and tell us how old you are?
Yes, hello. I'm Peyton Owen, and I'm 15 years old.
Yep, wise old age of 15. I wanted to talk to you especially because you've done something pretty extraordinary for someone your age, and you've started your own theater company. Is this true?
That is true, yes. We are
So-
called Four Seasons Performing Arts.
Amazing. Tell me a little bit about what inspired you to start your own company.
For sure. So the story that I always tell everyone was it was around the time that The Greatest Showman kind of came out. And my sister and I were doing homework in her room and belting out The Greatest Showman because, why not? That's super fun. And she looked at me and she was like, hey, what if we put on a show like singing The Greatest Showman? And I was like, yeah, no, that's silly. And I thought about it and I was like, okay, I've got some really talented friends. That'd be awesome. So we did it and it was really fun and it turned out pretty great. We did it in my backyard with about a cast of like 12, I think, and we just sang through the show. And it went so well that I was like, hey, let's keep doing this. So I called up a few of my buddies who did the show, who maybe didn't do the show, and said, you want to start a theater company just to keep like putting on these concerts and raise some money for charity? And they all jumped on it. So there's 4 of us that are kind of the founders of the theater company, and we meet quite frequently especially during this quarantine. We've had, Monday through Friday calls all the time.
Oh, wow.
For a couple hours to discuss the next seasons and stuff. But yeah, it was for sure. It's, and the other thing is we're all such close friends, and it's like we're getting on FaceTime to hang out while also, doing performing stuff and giving back to the community. So yeah, we love it.
What charities are you supporting?
So the first 2 shows we gave to a charity called Kids Matter, which is a charity that works on giving, kids who don't have as many opportunities, like chances to really grow and learn and be safe in their home environments and stuff like that. And I chose that charity because I had a great experience with them years ago when I did a video contest with them about cyberbullying and stuff. And so I loved them and I chose them to do that. And then our most recent show, Limelight, which was Casey Lyons' new musical, he's one of the other heads of the company. He has I think it's his niece that has a heart defect. So we gave to Saving Tiny Hearts, and we actually raised $3,000 from that show alone. So those are the two charities right now.
That's amazing. And it's funny that you talk about the reason that you picked those 2 charities, because we've talked quite a bit through the course of this series about what inspires us and how inspiration is just something that you experience, that you see, that makes you want to do something else, right? So the fact that your friend's niece had a heart
Yeah,
defect
for sure.
inspired you guys, and the fact that Kids Matter made an impact on your life inspired you guys. So it's cool to see how your inspirations have become things that you've actually done out in the world now. That's very cool. Very cool.
Thank you. Yeah,
Yeah. How
for
old were
sure.
you when you got started doing performing in theater? Like, how did that all happen? How old were you? What was your first experience?
When I started all of like acting,
Yep.
um, I think I was 7
Oh,
in 3rd grade, and I did yeah, I was so young, and I did a show called Beauty is the Beast, not Beauty and the Beast, Beauty is the Beast, which is, I think it was a play. I don't really remember. It was so strange. And I played a guard, and I had no lines, and I just stood on stage in my little guard costume and tried to act tough. And
right.
that's where it all started.
Imposing guard at 7 years old, right?
Yeah, exactly.
So in the course of running your own theater company, I imagine you have to wear a lot of different hats, meaning you have a lot of different jobs that you have to learn how to do, right? And you're also a performer. So between all these different things that you're doing, what has been your favorite thing to do? And what is something that you feel like you've had to really learn and figure out how to do better?
Yeah. So through all my like performing experience, I've always thought that I was like the end goal is going to be musical theater on Broadway, as an actor. And in these last couple of years, I've realized that like my love for directing has like taken off. So during the few shows that we've done, I've done most of the directing, and that has been so fun, because there's so many different aspects to it. You know, you're also getting to perform because I've been in the shows as well as directing, but I've got control over, like, I can use my artistic abilities to, you know, really put on what we're trying to do, which has been super fun. But I guess it's just like directing with a bunch of other different people who's as passionate as I am, because we get to work together and create, you know, magic through the stage and stuff. And you know, there's like a lot of technical parts of it, like marketing, which is definitely not my favorite, and
Right.
not my strong suit either. And stuff like having to fundraise, which, you know, isn't the most fun part, but it's definitely necessary.
Yeah.
But definitely like the whole directing and the artistic aspect has been my favorite part. Yeah.
Yeah. That's interesting about the fundraising piece of it, because you talked about how you are raising money for charities. But sometimes it's a good lesson to take where you need help. Fundraising is really just asking for help and not
Yeah.
being afraid to go out there and ask for that help and ask people to support you, and get behind what you're doing. And I think that piece about directing is really cool too. That's really fun. You get to collaborate with people and play with them and make things happen. Um, what would your advice be
Yeah.
for kids who want to direct their own production, in terms of like, as a director, you're the leader, you know? So what do you think goes into being a good leader, and what would be your advice for kids who want to take on more of a leadership, director, producer type of role in the arts?
Yeah. So, so honestly, what I think is it's all about give and take. I was definitely like the most bossy kid when I was younger, like around age 7 and 8. I bossed everyone around. And so growing up now and maturing a little bit and being put in these situations, you know, you learn that you don't like, you can't be controlling everything. You have to let some things play out. You can't, you know, micromanage everyone. But as a director, it is your job to be the artistic person who is trying to, you know, put on the best show you can.
Yeah.
So listen to your actors, listen to the people you're working with, but also, you know, do your best to maintain control. And yeah, it's, you know, that give and take creates a friendship feel, and you don't want the people that you're directing to think that you're really boss, you know? So just
Yeah.
making sure that everyone's happy and you're putting on the best work that you can.
So I thought it was cool too about
Thank you.
how your first production started with you and Maggie just playing in a bedroom with one of your favorite soundtracks. You got inspired by The Greatest Showman, and you guys were goofing
Yeah.
off with it. And then you're like, we could make something bigger out of this. So one of the things that I hope that kids will do is come up with ways to do that same sort of thing, entertain themselves, and put on like a living room production. And what would your advice be for someone who doesn't have a lot of people in their house, just doing it by themselves?
Yeah. So you have to start somewhere. You know, something like a little living room production, you know, it may seem a little silly, but it's a start, and it's a opportunity for you to learn and grow. That's one of my favorite things about what we're doing is I'm getting put in so many real life situations in just this small little theater company that we're running. So I'm learning so much. So don't be afraid to ask for help either, especially if you're on your own. I mean, the first thing I did when I started was I called three of my best theater buddies, one of which had just gotten off national tour for Love Never Dies. So I called them and I was like, hey, you guys want to do this? And so asking for help and getting people who truly care and are as passionate as you are is like the ticket to success, you know, because you need as many people who love what you're doing, and it's not just on your shoulders then.
That's really great advice. I love that.
Thank you. Yeah.
Well, this has been so much fun and so great talking to you. I think that you are so multi-talented, and it's so cool to see all the different things that you're doing and learning how to do and putting your own company together. And I think it's also really great that you are using what you're doing to contribute to charities as well. We talked last session about random acts of kindness, and volunteering for organizations or doing something like what you're doing is also a really great way to show kindness to the world. So I think it's pretty cool for doing all that. And thank you for spending time with us today. And I hope I see you out in the real world again soon.
Yes, thank you so much for having me. This is super fun.
Thank you. All right, I'll see you soon. Bye.
All right, sounds good. Bye.
I mean, how cool is Peyton starting his own theater company with his friends? That's so cool. So this also leads me to, I'm sure you guessed, your next official assignment. Your official assignment that goes along with Peyton's interview is to dream about what your company would look like. I want you to give it a name, and I want you to write a mission statement. And it can be any kind of company. It can be a theater company or a dance company or a company that does like illustrations for books. It can be a publishing company. It can be anything you want it to be. But you come up with a name and a mission statement. Now, what is a mission statement, you ask? I will tell you. A mission statement is exactly what it sounds like. You are stating your mission. So you're going to say what you do, and why you do it, and who you do it for, and how you're going to do it. But I just want you to really use your imagination and be as creative as you can to come up with your company and your mission statement. Okay? Yay. Now, this week, you get a bonus interview. There was another young artist that I wanted to sit down with, so you get 2 interviews this session, and I think that you are going to be really inspired by everything she has to say. So now we are going to see what happened when I sat down to chat with my friend Ariana.
Hello again. I am here with a super talented young actor in the Chicagoland area. Would you please introduce yourself and tell us how old you are?
Yes, hi, I'm Ariana Burks and I'm 20 years old.
Your first show, how old were you and what was it?
I was 12 years old. My first show was Hairspray at Drury Lane.
That's
I played
amazing.
Little Inez. It was so cool. And when I was younger, I would always flip-flop between like what I wanted to do and because I was such a huge fan of Disney, and so I was like, I want to be an actor. But then my family watched American Idol all the time, and I would always love all of the singers on that show, so I was like, I want to be a singer. But when I got the chance to be a part of Hairspray at Drury Lane, I realized that that's when I really found out that musical theater was a thing, and I realized that I could sing and act at the same time in front of people. Like it was just so cool, and it was a rush every single night to just do the same show, but it was always different every single night. And so that's really kind of what inspired me to continue on doing specifically musical theater, and like that's what I major in now in school. So
that's
it's
amazing.
a lot of fun.
It's interesting that you were inspired by American Idol and shows like that originally, and then the more that you learned about other things that were out there, it kind of made your dreams grow into something even bigger and different.
Exactly. Yeah.
We've been talking a lot about inspiration and how people get inspired. So who or what, it can be both, it can be either, who or what inspires you?
My mom is definitely one of my biggest influences. I feel like I wouldn't be anywhere in my career without her, you
Mhm.
know?
Yep.
She sacrificed a lot for me to, she would take me to auditions, drive me everywhere. There have been so many times where I've been called out for things in New York and such, and it was like never an inconvenience for her. It was always like, okay, well, how are we gonna make this work? And
Yep.
there's just something about that that's just so powerful. Like not thinking about things as a problem, but thinking about it as like, okay, well, how are we gonna fix it or how are we gonna solve it? And
Right.
so that's something that has been very useful for me in my career. Um, yeah.
Yeah. Her strength and tenacity and just really being there for you. That's awesome. And I think
Exactly.
that's something that we take for granted sometimes when we're kids, is the adults around us who are supporting us and helping us so much. So we talked about doing random acts of kindness last one of the last sessions that we did, and I think that it'd be good to do something nice for one of those adults in your life who's helping you out. Maybe like sing them a song or write them a poem or do something special for them, like pick them some flowers from
Yes.
outside, just anything, just to show them your appreciation. Um,
It's amazing.
but
I love that. I'm gonna do that.
yeah, random acts of kindness. That's awesome. Uh, one of the things I was thinking about is we are living in some pretty crazy times right now. Things are, they can be confusing and maybe a little bit scary even. Um, and I'm wondering what your thoughts are on why it's important that we do creative things during this period of time, and why the arts are important and why theater is still so important.
Well, something that I've had the opportunity to learn in my career is that activism and artistry are very intertwined. They're, you know, I feel like in a lot of ways they are pretty much the exact same thing. You're using, creative outlets in order to create art to send a message or to spread a message. And I can't imagine being a kid in this time, in this day and age, where, you know, there's no logical explanation for racism, you know,
Right.
or for police brutality. There's no logical way to explain why you should be afraid of someone because of their skin color. And
Right.
so, when it comes to kids, like you have to explain things to them, like so that they can understand. And in times like this, it's very difficult to do that. In times where we have to take classes now through a phone and through our computer screens and such. And so I think that art and theater is very, very important because you know, it allows people to envision a world where things like that aren't real, or a world where people are just better and kinder to one another. And if you can put that to paper and if you can write music to that, then you can make it a reality. You can put action to that and
Yep.
make it come true.
I think it's cool to think about the fact that your first show was Hairspray when you were 12, and how that must have impacted you, because it's a show that has it's so much fun, and it's such a cute show, and it's so hilarious, and there's so many fun characters. However, underneath all that is such a deep message. And you have to think about kids who are your age when you did the show, or even who might have seen it a little younger, and what they must have thought about going away from that show. And it's all because, like you said, someone envisioned a world and put it down on paper and made songs about it and made it come to life.
And what I really love about Hairspray is that obviously like there's a difference between, people that are black and people that are white, but Tracy, the main character, is very, very different, from everybody else, even though she is a part of the upper class or, the privileged community, like being white, she's very, very different.
Yep.
And so like as you said, like it's very bubbly and fun, and the music is so great and easy to dance to, but underneath all of that, the message of it is very, very, very deep and very dark and real, to what's happening today.
Right. Absolutely. Art is a great way to teach messages in a way that that is also entertainment, so that it reaches you kind of in a different way, which I think is really, really amazing. Yeah. Well, thank you so much for spending time with us today. I just think you have such a bright future ahead of you, and I'm excited to watch it happen right before our very eyes.
Thank
And
you. Thank you for having me. This is so cool.
my pleasure, and we will see you soon out in the real world again.
Yes, very, very soon, hopefully.
All right, take care. Bye.
Hello again. So as you can see and hear, I am actually now out on the streets of Aurora, Illinois, and I thought it would be cool to show you some of the street art that's been happening here over the last few weeks because it's amazing. And just like Ariana said in our interview, activism and art are very closely related. So let's talk for a second about what activism is. It's a lot like inspiration, and it's a little bit more specific in that if you're inspired by something, by a cause that you want to support, then you go out and do things to show your support for that cause. And that's all that activism is. And a lot of ways that people do that is through art, like this. And I'm going to take you around Aurora and show you a little bit of it. But I wanted to talk about it a little bit first so that I could give you your next official assignment. I want you to do an art project, a visual art project, and think of it as activism for art. So you can make a poster about adopting pets, you can do one for Black Lives Matter, you can do one for autism, you can do one for breast cancer. I'm actually a breast cancer survivor. So there are all sorts of causes that you can use your art to promote. So that is your next official assignment. And now we are going to go take a little tour of all the street art that's happening in Aurora. Okay. So this is a cool one. That's what they had to say. And look at how beautiful. And they did this on some plywood that they boarded up a store with. So that is very beautiful and very cool. Here's another one that was on one of the storefronts. It's really beautiful. And this was another good idea that this person had. They took a quote from one of their favorite people who inspired them, and they used it. So that's another way that you can do this, is find a quote from somebody you like and make a piece of art around that. This is a utility box, and somebody put art on it. So maybe you can find something at home that's just like a plain thing, and you can paint on it and make art out of it. That's another idea for this project. One of the reasons that I wanted to record out at the Paramount Theater today, aside from just showing you how beautiful and amazing it is because I did a show here a couple years ago called Elf the Musical, yes, based on the movie, and I got to share a dressing room with someone who has become a really good friend of mine, and you know what she's doing now, just a few years later? She is starring on Broadway in the musical Six. It was supposed to open the day that we went into quarantine. So she has been hanging out and making cool videos and staying creative and keeping herself going through all of this. And I thought it would be really inspiring and really, really cool for her to chat with you guys for a second. So take it away, Sam.
Hey y'all, I am Sam Polly. I currently play Catherine Howard in Six the Musical on Broadway. And I'm also a really good friend of Lara's. We did Elf the Musical at Paramount together a couple years ago. We got to share a dressing room and we became very close friends. I love her very much. And that being said, I think it's really incredible that she is still able to offer you guys like this virtual camp over the summer while everything is shut down. I know that right now it's really hard to like keep the creative juices flowing and to feel confident about what you're doing, and it's hard to do all of this while you're stuck inside and you have to do all of it straight to a camera. I totally get it. But I thought I would just speak on like confidence and how to really make yourself feel great before you walk into an audition or before you perform something. For me, my biggest piece of advice is if you are going into an audition for something specifically, understand and know that everybody on the other side of the table is on your side, and they so badly want you to be what they're looking for, because that makes their job so much easier. So understand and know that they need you a lot more than you need them. There will always be auditions, but they only have one shot to get casting right. And I guess in terms of just like performing for people, one of my favorite things that makes me feel better when I'm feeling nervous or, excited or anxious before a performance, and I don't know if this is true or not, but one of my friends told me this, is that the same chemical that's produced in your brain when you're really excited for something is the same one that is produced when you feel like you're nervous or you have stage fright. So I like to turn it around and tell myself that I'm actually just really excited to share my talents with everybody. So you guys have a great summer. Keep being creative. I'm doing a song a day on my Instagram while we're in quarantine, but do stuff like that. Try new creative things. Try drawing, try dancing, do, whatever you like to do. And maybe stuff that you've never tried that you might end up loving. Everyone, please stay safe, stay healthy. Have a great, great summer.
How cool was that? Thank you so much for spending some time with us, Sam, and making us all really inspired to go out and do amazing things. You guys, we are getting really close to the end of all this. And I know we've talked about inspiration over and over and over again, but that's really what this is all about, is being inspired. So, it is time for one of our last official assignments. I want you to think about all the stuff that we've talked about over the past 4 weeks and go to a place where you feel comfortable and inspired. You can go lay out under a tree, or you can go to a room in your house where you feel inspired. Maybe it's in your room. And I want you to make a list of things that inspire you, and people that inspire you, and places that inspire you. So for me, I would say a place that inspires me is here at the Paramount Theater. And someone who inspires me is Sam, because she is making all of her dreams come true, and she works really hard to make that happen. And something that inspires me is when people work hard. Because, let's face it, we can all get a little lazy sometimes. Well, maybe not you, but I can get a little lazy sometimes. So I'm very inspired when I see people working hard. So those would be 3 of my things, just to give you an example. Well, everybody, I can't believe I'm saying this, but this is the end of our Arranmore Arts Virtual Theater Camp Jam. I really hope that you guys have had as much fun with all of these activities and hearing from all these great artists as I have had in interviewing them and showing you everything that you can do to be creative and stay creative while we're all kind of hanging out closer to home. And the thing that was cool about Sam's video for me is that it reminded me that one of the best parts of doing theater is just all the incredible people that you get to make and how you get to share art with them. And then you get to share it with a big audience sometimes. Or sometimes it's a small audience, just another person in your living room. It doesn't matter. We want you to take everything that you've played around with the last few weeks and use it however you want to. You can start doing your bigger project now and write your own show, or you can do some song videos like Sam does on her Instagram. Any way that you want to be creative and express yourself and think about how you can use art to make the world a better place and to make other people happy with random acts of kindness or with using art as activism. All of these amazing things that we have talked about over the last 4 weeks, I hope that you take them and that you hold them really super close to your heart and you think about them from time to time. And pretty soon we'll all be back on stages again, doing what we love to do and sharing it with the people around us. And it doesn't matter if your dreams are to go to Broadway like Sam, or like Matthew said, he's going to go to college and do something else and do theater as a hobby. Whatever way you want to be creative and use theater and express yourself, I think that is awesome. And I want you to have fun with it. So, until we meet again, I am your camp counselor, Miss Lara, and it has been so much fun spending time with you. Bye, everybody.